Paul Marsh, and today I want to share a quick demonstration between the difference between local and world space in Unity. So let's get to it. So I've got a cube here and it's just scaled at 1.5. I don't want that. I want it scaled at 2, 1 and 1. Okay, so there we are, a kind of brick shaped cube. And I've got a little component here and it's got the concept of the source cube, which is a prefab of this cube, and the idea of a container. I'm just going to clear that container. And let's have a look at the code. So all the code is going to do is say, well, I haven't got a container. I'm going to instantiate a new version of this cube. And we're going to move it right 2, because the cube is length 2. So we're just going to try and shift it to be next to the original. So let's see how we get on doing that. So we'll just press run here. Move this over a little bit more. Press add. And there we have our 2 cubes next to each other. Okay. Now the problem is that these cubes are now kind of floating around in space, and I don't like that. I want that to be inside of a container. So let's have a look at this container. So we've got a container here, and this container is also scaling everything by half. Okay, so we drag our cube into the cube container. Now, if you notice what happens, the cube is still retaining the same size. So we look at the cube and we can see that where it was 211, it has now doubled it. So dragging it into that container, it's tried to compensate by the fact that this is halving everything. That's not what we want. We do actually want it to halve. So I have to come in here and reset that. Go back into our script, add this container. Okay, so we've got the container on there. So if we recall what the code does, so now we're going to come into this new code. And again, we instantiate the same way. We set the parent to be the container's transform. So now we're going to reparent it. We're still going to move right 2. Okay, so the rest of it's pretty much the same. So what happens? So when we press add, we notice we've got this big gap. That's not what we want. So let's have a look at the data. So the cube is in the correct position, even though that it's half, so it's half the size visually, which is good. But our cloned cube, let's have a look at that. So that's got the right scale, but our x coordinate is twice what we want, it's 4. That's obviously not what we want. So how do we solve this problem? So we go back to our code. Now what I don't want to do is I don't want to be playing with this vector. That is still the value I want to move is 2 units. Just because it's been halved, I don't want to have to care about that. I want Unity to do the heavy lifting for me. So one thing we could try is in set parent, it's got this option called world position stays. So what does that do? Let's have a little look. So we run that. Okay, press add. Now you can see that the brick is quite a lot bigger. So what's going on here? So we've got our original cube 211 and we've got our bigger cube, which is now 422. So it's doubled it. So if you remember when we dragged the cube in here and it did the compensation, that's what that world positioning is doing. It's compensating for the parent container. So whilst that's interesting, that doesn't solve our problem here. So let's take that back out. Now the solution is actually a lot simpler. Because we're now in the container and we're moving around in the space of the container, we don't want to be changing our world position. What we actually want to be doing is changing our local position. So that making that change there. Now we run. Press the add button. Now everything is correct. So we've got the right scale and the right position. So we look on this. Our position is 2, which is what it was originally when it all worked. The scale's all original. All the cube positions, everything's to the original values of when it worked. But now we're actually inside of the correct cube container. Okay, so I hope that's of use to you. So just remember that when you get into these positions where you're nested in a parent, try and use the right world coordinates, because if you use the wrong one, you get some very weird looking results. Okay, I hope that's been helpful. Thanks.